Colin Good Bull, Bonfire 2024. This will be the first one of the season, which is motivating. This has been, I don't know, it's felt like it's taken a long time to get here. But then again, it feels like it all flew by. There was a lot going on this offseason. A lot going on. And honestly, we say, and it's true, that Bonfire starts when you burn the hell out of Bonfire. But usually there's a little bit of slowness for a while, it feels like. For just, a few weeks would be nice. But that did not happen last year. As early as mid-December, that's when I got the first phone call about the serious prospect of Aggies building Bonfire on campus. And since that time, man, everybody saw the news in the spring. By the time it came out in the spring, it was actually old news for a lot of folks. But the students who build Bonfire, they put it really well. When the question was asked, what do you have to say about Bonfire on campus? They all said, not going to speculate at things that we don't know, but we'll tell you what we do know, and that what we can guarantee, and that is that there will be a Bonfire built by students, and we'll just have to see where it is. So, howdy, Clay. A lot going on there. Big news. Some very big news. Cut class is going to be this week. Tomorrow and Wednesday at Rudder Auditorium. The first time that Cut class will be on campus in 25 years, or a quarter century, as the students put it, making everybody my age and older feel much, much older than that. So thanks, Aggies. That was nice. What else we got? Well, what we're gonna see, the numbers that we're gonna expect to see this year, if Chief Cut was any indication at all, this is gonna be, I don't even know. It's gonna be incredible. Just from the numbers at Chief Cut. Like I said, we're gonna look at it, we're gonna see it. This is gonna be something special. So motivated for all the leaders, the quantity and the quality of the leaders. I even did my Cull and Good Bull. I recorded that, or not Cull and Good Bull, the Monday Modi. I recorded that on the way back from Cut class, or Chief Cut, yesterday. I was so motivated. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started with Cull and Good Bull for Bonfire 2024. For those of you that have never scoped this out before, on a weekend, I might shoot 1,000, 2,000 photos, and then I got to sit there and go through them to pick out the 30, 40, 50 photos that are going to be published to the website. That is a lonely process, and I guess it was like 4 years ago. I figured, well, I'll just turn the camera on because I'm going to do it anyway. Look through the photos anyway, and this will be a nice way for people to see them in advance, and ask questions in the chat as we go. If you've got any questions at all, put them in the chat. I'll try to keep my eyes on that. Any questions about what we're looking at, any questions about Bonfire in general, Bonfire today, history, the podcast, anything like that, go ahead and put those in the chat. And do like I did. Pour yourself a drink. Tonight it's Weller 12 gift from I don't think I could say who. You know who you are. Thanks and gig 'em. Let's get started. Cull and Good Bull Bonfire 2024. We're going to start with a little bit from the preseason. These are photos, like I said, I got to go through anyway. And so that's what we're going to do. And we're going to look at a few photos from 12 Fires Winery, which is an annual trip for the juniors. And they get to meet some motivated deads, former Red Pots, Timer Pots were there. And it was a motivating experience because this was actually the I saw more deads in the summer than I'd ever seen. Speaking to just how motivated everybody is to make this season something special. So these are the juniors, some of the juniors. They're meeting Duke, David Meadows, class of 96. Of the climber lines that became red. And they're beautiful winery. They're walking outside the tasting room here, heading for a little tour of 12 Fires Winery. 12 Fires Winery is Duke Meadows and Mike Nance, both 96, and Zach Hugie, 97. All red pots. Between the four of them, they built and or led 12 Fires. And of course, 12 Fires being also a nod to the 12 of 99. And we're going to look at something I don't think many people know about their red ass logo. I love their logo. And the boys were just doing some work there. The vines that they're going to be touring here, they're heading down from the lower vines up to the front vines. The vines in the front, it was the Reds 6 years ago, actually helped run that infrastructure there that the vines are growing on. So 12 Fires has been a great place for them to kind of have one last time away from Bonfire, but not even a time away from Bonfire. It's just a nice place to go as a last thing before it really hits the fan for the fall. And then here we see the 12 Fires logo. Cool. Look at this. You've probably already figured it out. Those notches in the logo there, each one of those notches is a portal on the Bonfire Memorial. And the size of the flame corresponding to that notch, the portal, is the distance away from Center Pole to that Aggie's home. So, I mean, really thoughtful. Intentional. It's just good stuff. These Aggies, they love Bonfire. They love supporting the students. And, they love wine too. They make some damn good wine. I am not sponsored by them this year. I should tell you that. I should be very clear about that. I am not sponsored by them this year. We have some questions here from Clay. And Mason Taylor just responded. Good response as always from Mason, one of our senior Red Pots. To the first question, any good first tier logs? I've seen a few already at Chief Cut. I think we're going to see one of them being moved through the woods. Quick, here's that reunion photo. We'd already lost a few by the time we took this photo, so like I said, it was a good visit. And a beautiful tasting room. 12 Fires Winery, look it up, not sponsored. They're just red ass Aggies who make some damn good wine. Also at Aggie Land Outfitters. Once again, not sponsored. So anyway, yes, I saw some good first tier logs. Um, I to answer the other question, I feel like A&M did the right thing with Bonfire. I think they did exactly the right thing. Um, it was a challenging question to answer. It was a challenging problem for them to approach. We've got to recognize that this institution has got a lot going on, and I was really impressed and pleased and inspired, not just as somebody who believes in Bonfire, but as a former student. The leadership that was clear in the statement from President Welch that in that statement there was a clear indication that if students aren't building Bonfire, if they don't get to touch it, if they don't get to do it, that's not it. And so I think absolutely the right thing was done, and I'm very motivated by that and pleased by it. This was coming into the woods. You might even recognize these woods. These are woods that were not last year, but 2 years ago, and the year before that, and the year before that. Great hosts. I am going to try to get them actually on the podcast to talk about what it's like hosting a Bonfire cut. They've been so generous with their space and their time, and truly have helped build the hell out of Bonfire. And it'll be interesting to hear from them why they keep coming back and back and back. But they do. Now, this is from the road coming in. You used to not be able to take any pictures from the road. But that's just how much clearing has gone on over the years, and then over the off season with them taking care of their property. And the reason why I'm taking the first photos from the road with the sun clearly having risen, this is a Kruger Chief downswinging on a log that's already been felled. I missed the first logs coming down. I came out to cut site. I think I was there about 7:15. Beautiful morning light, sunrise, golden hour. Red pot log looked beautiful where it was. Wanted to take a photo of that and picked up my camera to take a photo. Damned if I had left my battery on the charger at home. I had to drive the 30 minutes back home and then back. So that's why I've got a late start here. They're clearly already working. Let's see what time it is at this point. Yeah, it's 8:37 as I'm on the road coming into the site. So still from the road. This is Leggett and their chairs working on a tree. Again, this is going to be Chief Cut. So Chief Cut is not the first cut. First cut is this coming up weekend. Chief Cut Chief Cut is Bonfire's leaders, crew level leaders. So among the non-regs, those are those not in the Corps cadets. That's going to be crew chiefs, chairs, yellow pots. In the Corps cadets, you're going to have your butt pots and your piss pots are going to be out there for Chief Cut. And that's just where your crew level leadership is having their first, real orientation, working orientation in the woods that they're going to be working on for cut. And it's a motivating environment because it's your leaders leading leaders and your leaders following leaders. And we're going to see some unique presentations of that, especially towards the end here. Talking about unique characters. Ace is back. Lord, I didn't even think he was going to make it last year. And like last year, I get up hide my clothes in my office, separate from the bedroom where he sleeps. And I get up and go get my clothes on, and that dog is out of bed and not going to let me leave without him. So, and usually he'll just sleep. So, um, there he is chatting with one of the greens. So Ace is back at. We'll see how long. It's so hot out there, and this will be his 17th bonfire. So, uh, he's gonna need to take it easy this year. Stopped at load site, watching the Chiefs, Walton Chiefs, getting some truck sticks ready. I'll return to a couple questions here again, real quick. The permanent land, I mean, that's a good question. That's going to be a lot. That's going to be a lot of work left to do. And honestly, a lot of that falls on me. Bonfire's leaders have got a lot to do, and they need to be focused on building an outstanding bonfire, and that's a year-round thing. And best intentions of getting more of that process done this year. It's not going to happen in a year. It's not going to happen in a couple of years. It's going to take some time, but those best intentions were all shot to hell with everything else that was going on over this off season. But at the end of the day, Bonfire needs a place where it can call home year after year after year, the same piece of land, and a piece of land that they can do whatever they need to with. Put down roads, put down a parking lot. I don't care. Whatever you want. And so we're going to put together a body of motivated former students and friends of the fire. And it's going to be a big undertaking. It's going to be a big ask, but Aggies will rise to the occasion. I'm sure of it. And we will see Bonfire on its own piece of land in some years. It's just informally a conversation that's continuing, and as soon as we've got an official place to send that motivation, we'll let everybody know. So to just in brief, to summarize all those questions and answers there so far, Bonfire is where it belongs. It's in the hands of the students, and that's where it's going to stay. Going to see just how many damn students there are, and there's a lot of them. So this is something new this year, something new, something old. The Corps will be officially permanently represented at load. So Walton still loads, and they will be joined by a Corps load pod. So that's going to help incorporate the Corps into load in I think a more entrenched kind of way. The Corps has always been a part of load. I was in Walton. We were tied at the hip to Squadron 17. There's a long history of the Corps loading the hell out of trucks. And now there's an official Corps load pod, which is going to be pretty motivating. So speaking of the Corps cadets, this is the Corps Woods. This is one of the first places I had to stop. I had heard rumors of the level of motivation in the Corps cadets. I had heard rumors and seen signs, and I had to go see it myself to believe it. And what we're going to see is that, again, keeping in mind that this is Chief Cut. This isn't the entire participation of the Corps. This isn't everybody from the Corps who's building Bonfire. This is just the outfit level leadership from the Corps of Cadets. And I had to spend a little bit of time in the Corps Woods to get a good picture of just how many there were. There were a friggin' lot. Um, Outfits that I hadn't seen in some time, outfits that I hadn't seen in ever, which is motivating as hell. Um, and they were all showing up squared away, ready to learn, ready to lead, ready to motivate. And guys, it was an outstanding weekend for the Corps Cadets, and I'm looking forward to watching that develop. Um, we saw E2 had a butt pot out there. Um, that was I don't there's I don't know, I guess there's something about taking pictures. I just plumb don't like having my picture taken. And I certainly don't make it easy, and I almost never volunteer to have my photo taken. However, uh, we're going to see K2 is out there as well, and K2 has had a long history of leadership in Bonfire uh, since off campus and before. K2 has produced a number of outstanding red pots, brown pots, um, uh, butt pots. Great leaders have come out of K2. Um, but I hadn't seen them come out in the force that they had over these last 20 years. I hadn't seen that in the last year or two, and that's okay. There's an ebb and flow, things come and go, and that's fine. But I saw their butt pot out there, and I recognized him as a motivator from last year, and squared away and ready to roll. Almost looked like he'd been practicing, and so that was good to see. And then to see E2 there, and two of my groomsmen, they're I consider them brothers to this day. Were one of them in E2 and one of them in K2. So I did some stupid crap I never do and said, "Hey, I want to take a picture with y'all." So that's how giddy, excited, motivated I was by this weekend. Is I cannot remember. I can't remember a time where I said, "Hey, can I take a picture with you?" That has I can't. I don't think that's ever happened. So juniors, of course, walking the block. This is the truck pot. Um, Always good to see back to this. Always good to see Squadron 16 out there. That's Tim Curley's outfit. Um, Always good to see them represented, especially at Chief Cut, because that means they're going to have leaders that are going to motivate and get those fish out there. And as everybody knows, um, Bonfire is for the fish. And to give as many people as possible that opportunity, as many fish as possible that opportunity, that's the goal every year. So here we are in OC Woods. Um, OC, this one took a little bit for OC. But it's a big tree. So I got a lot of pictures of this tree. I'll just, pardon me, responding to messages while we're doing this. Something about Chief Cut, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before in prior Cull and Good Bulls from Chief Cut. Chief Cut is the opportunity for this year's crew level leaders, which will, by the way, be next year's upper leadership. Upper leadership is going to come from the people who were out there at Chief Cut this year. And it's their opportunity to practice, get warmed up. A crew chief, in most cases, the last time a crew chief was in the woods, they were a fish. And it's easy to forget that. The last time they were swinging an axe, they were a fish. And so, on top of just getting oriented with the land and the space and the new procedures and policies and expectations of the year, this is also the opportunity for them to kind of practice a little bit, get back on the old horse, and that's exactly what I'm doing at Chief Cut. And you see here, I'm tweaking just a little bit, exposures and stuff like that, which again is part of the process. Y'all are just hopping on while I'm doing what I got to do anyway to get these photos out. And I don't ever mess with much. I don't mess with color, and I don't try to fix any mistakes. I've learned that if I just let the mistakes exist, if I take a shit photo and I mess it up, and especially if it was a really good one, if I just let it be what it is, well, that hurts a little bit more than taking the time to fix it. And if it hurts, then I'm not going to do it again. So just making the little tweaks here. But you see, it's a dynamic environment. It's 1 minute you're looking and it's dark, and then it's bright and it's shadows, and then it's backlit, and it's just, there's a lot, and it just takes some getting used to, again, to be out in that space, and then to be able to respond when you hear something, and then to look for details like this. This was interesting to me. They're working on the tree in the background, and this here is this is an example of, I could have done a little bit better with this one. This was a very large tree from years before. Like I said, this is a familiar cut site. We'll see here where this junior is walking the woods now on the tractor path. In the background here, all this here, all of it used to be thick woods like this. And before anybody gets upset, it was actually standing here that this subject came up. This used to be, when Bonfire first came out there to cut, trees. But it used to be, before that, long before that, this all used to be grassland. From right here in this position, you would have been able to see all the way to the next horizon and maybe not even see one tree at all. And if you saw a tree, it might be a post oak out in the middle of a field. And that's not what this country is anymore. Especially, you see over here what Neely is working on. This is one of those cedars. It's a false cedar, cypress, or whatever the heck. Total garbage tree. Poisons the grass around it, ruins the soil, takes all the water. I love to see these come down, Bonfire or otherwise. But for any aspiring bleeding hearts out there, when Bonfire is done, the habitat that Bonfire leaves behind is actually a habitat that is now many steps closer to what this entire area of Texas used to be. And I think it was 2013. 2013, I believe it was the year that Bonfire cut on another beautiful piece of Central Texas that had become a thicket. And within a few years of leaving, there was a low spot that was that was a real pain in the ass to move logs through. Pain in the ass for other people, not for me. I'm just watching. But it wasn't fun for anybody. And within a few years of Bonfire leaving, that low spot filled up. And the landowner had no idea, but they'd been sitting on a property that used to have a natural tank. Not a manufactured bulldozed tank. They had a natural little tank. And water started bubbling up out of the ground in spots and filling this tank, and water shed wasn't being captured by those ridiculous cedars. And all of these extra oaks that had never been cleared out by fire, Bonfire took those, and the land, it was beautiful. It was an amazing thing that happens. So anyway, that's my vote for Aggie replant. Should replant grass, not trees. That's where we are. This is the post-oak savanna of the great Texas Blackland prairies where we are. And refer to this if anybody gets mad at you building Bonfire. Just refer to the first Cull and Good Bowl of the season. Bonfire is comprised of motivated habitat restorationists, is what it is. So here we are back in the core woods. Again, I mean, I just couldn't resist checking on this again. And we're seeing here, this is not a crew. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different outfits, at least 6 different outfits represented on one log. 7 in one frame, at least 7 different outfits. And this is not the entire outfit again. These are just the outfit leaders. So we've just in one frame, and then we've got another here. So between those 2 frames, we've got 8 different outfits of leaders. And what's going on behind me and what's going on down the tractor path and the other way. Core is going to bring the heat this year, and that is motivating as hell. So they're bringing a log to a skid. A skid is a small log, maybe a high port. A high port is what you call a log that 2 people can carry. So you'll lay these skids, these small logs, parallel to the tractor path, and you bring the logs on your shoulders to those skids and lay the log with the butt end. This is the butt end, or the stump end, tree stump. You'll lay it perpendicular over the skid, and then that way, with it lifted up here on the stump end, you can get a chain up underneath it, get a collar on it, and drag it out to load site. Yeah, there's a question of do students still plant trees for replant? Replant's still going on. They're still doing trees. I mean, they did wonderful work after the big fires in Bastrop, which still hurts my heart to drive through to go see my family, some family I have out in Austin. And to drive through Bastrop and see that used to be, it was like you were driving into a tunnel, and now there's not anything left. There's the BQ butt pot there. And so Aggie replant, again, motivated students. It doesn't matter what's happening at A&M. The outstanding stuff is happening when the students are executing against the plan that they came up with. And that's what replant is. Replant was something conceived by the students. In fact, many of them were Bonfire to plant trees after Bonfire cut, but they weren't actually replanting the trees in the places where cut had taken place in a lot of cases, if not all cases. They would replant trees like they replanted pine in in that Bastrop corridor that got burned down. But just my little personal soapbox, I would love to see, man, how great would it be to travel through a little backstretch of central Texas and see that big blue stem grass so high you couldn't see somebody's head if they were sitting on top of a horse, right? So here's the seniors walking from the core woods to another set of woods. I believe they're heading over towards where we saw Leggett and Kruger. See? This is me sucking at the beginning of the season. There, I got him that time. We're back over in the Kruger Woods. And you see the practice that happens. Practice happens. Nobody's perfect, right? And to the keen Bonfire motivated eye, we see a little bit of separation there between that top and bottom wedge. And that did turn into a bit of a pickle. You see a brown pot walking up. He knows exactly what's about to happen with this tree. It did get hung. And so they had to undo it. And that's fine. That's fine. To get a tree to power through branches, right? And that's what that tree was doing. It was up there, up in the top. It was tangled up in the canopy. To get it to come through and break through the branches and not get hung up, you've really got to lower the wedge, and you've got to make sure that your back and front wedge are really, you've got the right spacing on them. So if this is dropped a little bit, and if that wedge is dropped a little bit more, and you bring that front wedge farther into the back before you start your back wedge, then when that tree goes, this tree, what it was doing was slowly leaning. And so it slowly leaned into the branches and then rested up against the branches. And then you cut it through, and it doesn't have any momentum to push it through the canopy. So you learn, lessons learned, and they certainly learned. And I can guarantee you that you're not going to see that happen in the Kruger Woods again. It's a lucky individual that makes their mistakes before everybody else. That's a real blessing. A lot of people get worked up about making first impressions or whatever the deal is, getting things right the first time when everybody else is still learning. And that's overrated. The way to be is to make your mistakes early, because you're going to make them. So make them early, and then you're going to get smart faster than everybody else. And there you're seeing more of that's about right. That front wedge is in there pretty deep. That back wedge is spaced up against it, right? This is a pelt. A pelt is a relatively recently renewed crew. So I think their yellow pot is, I think they've had their yellow pot for 2-3 years now. Maybe this is the third year. So what'll happen with the crew is you get some motivated participants. Those participants come out, and then the question is, it's sort of like the beginning of Bonfire was. You get a motivated group of participants. They come out, they do the work, And then the question is, all right, can you do it again? As a crew, can you do it again? And then when they come out and they do it again, then the question is, okay, chances are the people who came out the second time or the people who came out the first time, now can you do it again a third time with a different set of people? Meaning, do you know how to teach it? Right? You know how to do it. You know how to do it twice, but now do you know how to teach it? And then when you prove that you know how to teach it, you know how to pass that on, and you know how to recruit people within your dorm for the work and get them activated and motivated and doing work. And again, here, see, it's dark, shade, something happens, I turn around, my exposure sucks. It's just, you just got to get in the groove out there. You just got to get back in the groove, and that's fine. But, yeah, so that's generally the life cycle. It's a couple years, and then going into the third year, that's sort of the deciding year. Are you bringing people out consistently? Are you getting them motivated? Do you now have a different group of people, completely different than the first group of people that got your crew going? And if you do, then you know you've got a crew that is motivated to stick around and last. And so then, you know, crew will have crew chiefs. And then after a couple years of crew chiefs, if they continue to excel, then they'll get a yellow pot. And the yellow pot is, depending on what crew you're talking about, some crews consider the yellow pot the head crew chief. You know, I know that Walton considers the yellow pot as an equal, but every wheel has got to have a hub. And yeah, so Mason last season. So this will be the second season for Rappel to have that yellow pot. But you know, Walton treats the yellow pot as every wheel's got to have a hub, and so that's what the yellow pot is. That's the hub, and not any more important piece than the other ones. So you know, it depends on the different crews, but a yellow pot is something that a crew. It distinguishes a crew as among the non-regs, those not in the core. It distinguishes a crew as a fully evolved crew. When a crew gets a yellow pot, they are locked in. So, like Mason said there in the chat, Kruger got theirs last year, so this will be their second year with the yellow pot. And so, last year's I said Kruger, Appelt's yellow pot last year is one of the brown pots in upper leadership this year. So here's some of that non-glamorous bonfire stuff that has to happen. That damn clearing brush. And when you clear the brush, you got to take it to a brush pile. You know, the evolution of people's understanding of what goes into building bonfires is a fun thing to watch. It's one of the funnest parts of sharing these photos with folks. You know, people have this idea of what bonfire is, and then they see bonfire when it's been built and ready to burn. And when that happens, they go, holy mackerel, I thought it was pallets. I thought it was just a pile. I didn't realize it was this. And then the next evolution in thought is, wait a minute, so those are all trees. So would y'all have somebody cut those? No, we cut those trees down with axes. No way. And then you play that whole process out, right? It's not a pallet fire. It's not a pile. It is a stack of logs, and those logs were all cut down by hand with axes, carried, thrown onto trucks, loaded, unloaded, brought to the stack, all by hand. And then, if that's not enough, you realize that, well, then you're in the woods. And you've got to clear all that damn brush too, and you got to cut the tractor paths, and the everybody who's getting to know or knows Bonfire is somewhere on a spectrum of understanding the scope of the challenge. Hell, I've been doing it, leading it, or just being around it for over 20 years now. And I'm still, I mean, hell, I consider it my job to understand it, and I'm still figuring out the scope of the challenge. So speaking of being around for years, there he is again, hiding. I'm not responsible for him having a jerp haircut. For the record, that's my bride. She gets that done every year before cut, just in case he's ready to go, and darned if he's not always ready to go. There's OC still on that tree. As I said, it's a big one. Another post oak. And about this point, it's about ready to go. Yeah, that's a lot of wood left, but that had a lot of canopy left too. So we all knew it was about to go. And if I showed the angle before, there's a tractor path kind of parallel to his back here. And that tree is sort of the way it's going to fall. There was a bend in the tractor path, and so it's going to fall across the tractor path. So when this stuff is happening, I should have taken a picture of it. It would have been a boring picture, but I should have taken a picture of it. They've got people posted at all of the corners and bends. It is the crew's responsibility to monitor the fall path and keep people out of it. And you're going to, with a tree like this, with any tree, you're going to have people posted around watching. But especially when you got a path, you're going to have somebody, one of the crew chiefs, in the path, the tractor path, not in the path of the log, but in the tractor path, directing people away and around from where that tree is going to go. It's just that constant vigilance and situational awareness and cognizance that's required. And here we go. Dad gummit. Frick. That sucks. Oh, that sucks so bad. But we got a good picture of Yopon there. That's nice. That'll do. Yeah, there's a question about, did we think about putting anything memorialize a plaque or something from Bonfire, where Bonfire 2002 was. I don't know if that land is even accessible anymore. 2002 was in the old Boondocks Adventure Fun Park or something like that. So the 2002 fire, we're talking about brush. We were talking about clearing brush here a second ago. The 2002 fire was exactly what it needed to be. It wasn't a stack. It wasn't a bunch of logs around a center pole. That wasn't happening. And that's okay. It was a proof of concept. Are Aggies motivated? Are there enough of them? Can Aggies just one time build a bonfire of any kind? And 2002 proved that Aggies could. And then 2003 is when we stacked it. So the 2002 fire was talking about those brush piles. This is one of those first tier logs we were talking about. The Corps ran over to go help Leggett. The Leggett chairs get that log moved. But that was a sizable log. Little underexposed, but I'm not saying I did it on purpose this time, but that is actually a technique with especially common with Nikon and Nikon sensors. You get a different color quality, bringing it back from a little underexposed. Now, I'm not saying I intended to do that here. I just underexposed it a little bit here. But sometimes I will plan and intentionally underexpose to get that. If I'm in a place like load, I like to overexpose load a little bit because when you bring the colors back down again, it really kind of, you get the brutality of the setting. Sun, no shade, it's brutal. So, but again, I just underexposed these, but it worked, so that's good. And you see this is the photo that is the photo I picked for the Cull and Good Bull preview photo, and I picked it for a reason, because I mean, this is representing what Bonfire is really about, right? Yeah, core, non-rig, yeah, sure, fine. This crew versus that crew, sure, fine. But really, it's about Aggies from different communities with different loyalties and different motivations and different challenges that they've accepted as students and as students of Texas A&M, whatever they're studying. But coming together, still being loyal to where they come from, still being proud of where they come from, still being motivated to make where they come from better, but understanding that come from different crews, but they also come from the same place, and that's from a place of motivation at Texas A&M. So, yeah, one of the many reasons why I love Chief Cut. E2's butt pot. There's the K2 butt pot. Dragging brush sucks. It sucks so bad. I would rather swing on a tree all day long over dragging brush. It's the worst. But it's a job that has to get done. So there's something about watching people drag brush that, I mean, it's kind of motivating because it sucks for them and it sucks for everybody. Nobody likes dragging brush. But that's somebody they're doing the thing that sucks because it's what has to get done. So there's something quaint and motivating about that. I was trying to set up, maybe I got it on this one. Two of them at the same time. I'll go back and review those. This is down swinging, topping the tree. So you got a tree, you got to turn it into a log. So you got to get rid of the branches and start cutting it off at the big forks. So that's what they're doing there. I'll go back and figure out which one of those is the one that I wanted with both of the axes coming down at the same time. Here was B2. Sometimes you got to down swing in a situation like this where you're not down swinging on a log that is fully resting on the ground. You're down swinging on, there we go. I wanted the axe in the frame there at the same time. A log that's resting on its branches. So I ran over there and got that one. It's a fun angle too. It's a really fun angle if you can find somebody doing that. Use the zoom. Don't get close. Use the zoom. See the band there? The Aggie band has a junior red pot this year, which is that's very motivating. and a bit of a change. You know, Bonfire's got red pots now because red pots came back, and old red pots came back and offered their red pots to my grandsons going into their senior season, and to Bonfire in perpetuity. Um, and that handoff was made at Shotzi's bar on Northgate. Hans Betten was Shotzi. Shotzi's German for cutie. The girls liked Hans, and so uh, Shotzi was his nickname. And then he opened Shotzi's bar on Northgate, and the first brown pots that Bonfire had came from Hans. So I mean, Hans was also a big bad dude, and as the story goes, Hans kind of went to other Browns and said, "Hey, listen, over my dead body is Bonfire going to have another uh, uh, stack without a brown pot on it?" And when Hans says something like that, everybody goes, "Yeah, sure, that's a great idea, Hans." And so that's what happened. But the thing about Hans was he was a proud and motivated Aggie bandsman. He loved being in the Aggie band. Here we are back at Leggett again. Um, Tooling chair, working on a tree there. But Hans loved the Aggie band, and he was a loyal Aggie bandsman, and very proud of that. And when he got offered brown pot and intended to take it, he was told, "You got to pick. It's Brown or the band." And as much as he loved the band, he saw it that he had some tools, and he felt a sense of duty. And he built Bonfire and had to change outfits and leave the band. And so it's really motivating. And I wish Hans was alive to see it. Hans did pass away a few years ago. I wish Hans could see the day where there was a Aggie band red pot, because that's the right thing to do. And it's motivating that that this red pot is able to do his job, do all of his jobs, and have the support of his buddies, all of his buddies, Bonfire and otherwise, and be able to do both jobs and do them well. So one of the things you learn when you become upper leadership, yes, you are obligated to do your job well in Bonfire, but you got there because you did your job well outside of Bonfire. You were a leader in your outfit. You were an active participant in the Corps, in your dorm, whatever it is. And so one of the things that you learn to prioritize is that you have to continue to excel at the other things that you were already committed to. And that can be a challenge. You're a student, you're a family member, you're a son, a daughter, brother, sister, member of the band, hall council, whatever it is. You don't get to get great at one thing and forget the other things. You got to get great at everything. That's a pretty cool thing to watch people execute. Now, sometimes there are chainsaws applied to a tree, and you're going to see that happen when you've got a sort of a precarious limb that you don't want somebody standing there for an extended period of time down swinging on it when that limb is supporting the weight of the tree. You want to get that process over fast. If you've got a lot of work to do and you need a tree turned into a log quickly, you can apply a chainsaw at that point. But you're not going to find chainsaws bringing trees down. Right? That's the axe's job. But here he is topping a tree that's already been felled. And then here was a fun little exercise. So there's a chainsaw in its standard form. and the day ended, a hot day, by the way. The day ended with this variation of the chainsaw. And so what they did was, as sort of a last mental reminder, physical reminder, really, of what the process of being a crew level leader is going to be like. They moved some logs around. They brought everybody to load site. I believe everybody thought that they were going to do some loading of some trucks, and instead they moved some logs around and had to execute moving these logs around, and immediately realized that it was going to be harder than what it usually is, right? Because those chainsaws were humming without a bar on them, without a chain on them. It was just motors humming, and it was loud as hell out there. But it put everybody in a position where they had to learn, and you see the chainsaw coming towards the caller, so that the caller's commands would be drowned out. And it made it a tough thing to be able to execute, moving all these logs around in a confined space, and to do that well. And then you saw, because again, these are the leaders, this year's leaders that will become next year's leaders. You saw almost immediately everybody in the appropriate ways adapting and overcoming in a situation where you're supposed to hear the commands on a log. Now you can't. What are you going to do? And you saw the different modes of communication and coordination start being applied all over. And there was pressure. Get this log over there. As soon as you get it over there, turn around, take it back. And it looked like chaos. It might have looked like chaos if you didn't understand not just what's happening now, but what's going to be happening throughout the rest of the semester. You're not going to have a chainsaw in your ear ever again moving a log. That's not going to happen. But you are going to have distractions, and you're going to have things pulling you in different directions, and you are going to have people trying to talk to you, and you are going to have something over there that you think you need to be paying attention to or looking at, or even just something, just stare off at the clouds or something. You're going to have all of these distractions and pulls. How are you going to get through the year and stay focused on the objective in front of you? Because the whole thing is a series of objective after objective after objective. In this case, it was as simple as take the log over there, now take it over there, now take it back over there again. Turn it around, helicopter, whatever you're going to do. But it was, I found it a meaningful and motivating exercise in stay focused, work together as a team. If you find that you can contribute to the effective realization of an outcome in some way and not be the guy on the front of the log, if you can contribute somewhere on the log, somewhere in the equation, then do it. It was a motivating exercise. I enjoyed the hell out of watching it. I understand it happened last year, but I believe I missed it last year. Unless you find photographic evidence that I didn't miss it last year and I posted the photos and I just forgot about it, which could happen. We're getting towards the end here. I believe this was the last log. Junior's running around, adding a little spark to the undertaking. Yeah, I believe that was it. That's the last log. Junior's got up on the truck, connected the dots on the exercise they had just done and on what they're about to all dive into, which is going to be building the hell out of Bonfire. Um, there were some words of motivation and perspective and framing the challenge of the year. And they sent everybody home, but not before, as always, build the hell out of Bonfire. The Army does it twice. That was it. Chief Cut 2024. There you go, Aggies. So, as we said, this is not first cut. First cut is this weekend. So, what we've got in store this week is tangentially Bonfire related. I'm going to post the Monday Modi tonight. I'm going to be back on that saddle. It's been a busy, like we talked about at the beginning, it's been a busy off season. I tried to give my family as much time as I could this summer, knowing that this fall is going to take a lot of it. So I'm back on that. We're going to have that up. We've got a conversation with Frank Cox. That'll be the next Perimeter Fires episode. Took a tour of campus with the inimitable Frank Cox, head yell leader, class of 1965, Ross volunteer. And in his day, as the head yell leader was, he was the chief of Bonfire. And so I got a great tour of campus and conversation with Frank. That's going to be coming up on Perimeter Fires. Tuesday, the first cut class on campus since 1999. It will be in Rudder Auditorium. Anybody who's motivated for Bonfire, go to cut class. You got to go to cut class to participate in Bonfire anyway. But you want to go to cut class in Rudder Auditorium on campus. If you have a crew, if you're in a dorm that has a Bonfire crew, then you're going with your dorm with your crew in an outfit. You're going to go with them. But if you're just motivated for Bonfire and haven't found a crew yet, just go to cut class. Go by yourself or grab somebody on your way there. Grab an old high school buddy. And go get taught up at cut class. Get your cut card sticker on your student ID, old Army style. And you will find a crew. You can ask them to assign you to a crew, whatever. If you are motivated, you will find a way to participate in Bonfire, and Bonfire will find a way to get the most motivation out of you. So cut class Tuesday at 6:30, and again, another cut class, a different cut class. You don't have to go to two. You only have to go to one. The second cut class session will be Wednesday at 6:30, both in Rudder Auditorium. Then beat the hell out of Notre Dame on Saturday. And on Sunday, first cut. So an outstanding pre-start to the season with Chief Cut. A lot to look forward to this year. Yes, there will be a T-Sip outhouse on top of this year's Bonfire stack. But that Bonfire stack is not going to happen until Aggies do what Bonfire is really about. And that is building Bonfire. And they are motivated to do it, and I'm motivated to watch it. I will share it with you. Cull and Good Bull during cut. Cull and Good Bull will be every week following the weekend's cut. During stack, we'll do Cull and Good Bull as often as I am able to do a Cull and Good Bull, because there is something going on every single day once stack starts. But follow Cull and Good Bull on YouTube, and then also Instagram. Dion C Gallery on Instagram. And of course, all of the photos that we've reviewed here that are going to make it, you're going to find them on dion-c.me as soon as I get those developed. So sometime this week, those will be coming out. And then that'll be the schedule week over week. Weekend stuff, Cull and Good Bull, Monday or Tuesday. Photos come out on Wednesday or Thursday. Wash, rinse, repeat until we're burning the hell out of Bonfire. And the next day, so we're going to burn it on Friday, the night before the game, as per tradition. And then on Saturday, we're going to beat the hell out of TU. It's going to be an outstanding season, Aggies. Stay motivated. Build the hell. Gig 'em.